This question is to Mr. Zano. Singapore is facing the low fertility rate right now, and you're, as a father of 6 children, what do you think that we can solve the problem? Thank you.
I was just sharing with my fellow colleagues earlier, it is not rocket science to have 6 children. Raising them is a different story itself. I think there are many incentives that have been given to encourage young couples, married couples, to have more children. I think at the end of the day, if I were to share the term by Zaki, we have yet to find the tipping point that could actually encourage more families to have more children. Personally, I feel that if we do want to encourage young families to have more children, we should look really into providing better support for working mothers. Even in my experience as a school principal, I could see my own teachers, when they have young families, they do have that sense of guilt feeling whenever they had to leave their family behind to attend to school matters. So I think one area that we could really improve on to really look into providing better support for working mothers.
This is to Mr. Zainal. Based on what you said earlier on about the issues about education within the Malay population, Malay Muslim community, when you look at these issues about education and also about integration within the Muslim society and the wider society in Singapore, what are your take on these issues and also your message to the Malay Singaporeans out there? Thank you.
I think I want to acknowledge that a lot of work has been done by the self-help Muslim organization to help the community. I think the main challenge we face is in terms of our outreach. Families or individuals that could benefit from some of these programs are not coming forward so that we could actually help them. Likewise, for example, I know Mendaki, they have been having this tuition program in mathematics, in English for quite a number of years. But in terms of the number of Malay pupils that are actually taking up the Mendaki tuition program, there could be room for improvement. If we compare with the number of Malay students we have in Singapore and the number taking up Malay Mendaki tuition, we could actually do better. On the question about integration of the Malay community, I think as a community we have actually integrate with the other races well. I think the recent remarks made by our mentor minister might have hurt some segments of the Malay community, but I think has come forward to say that he stands corrected. And I think as a community, it is very, very important we should move forward. I'm also heartened by the fact that not only the Malay community, but even the non-Malays, they also share the same opinion that the Malays have actually integrated well with the other races.
All right, that's okay. The last question.
This question is for all 3 candidates. It seems like what you have suggested seems to be improvements to current existing policies. Can you tell the Singaporean voters why they should vote for you instead of their current incumbent PAP candidate, for example? Give them one reason why they should vote for you.
I think I represent the youth, and I represent a different perspective, especially from the Generation Y that I come from. So I think this is something that younger voters can look forward to. I hope to bring in the youth perspective to the Parliament as well as to the issues that we've been discussing. And I think that with with my understanding of some of my peers, I would also be able to reflect better what are some of their concerns, what are their priorities in life, what preoccupies them. So I think for me, I would represent that potential, that future group, the future Singapore in that sense. But at the same time, I'm very aware that I must always stay connected with all segments of Singapore, despite that. So, and I think with my experiences in the grassroots in the community and my willingness to continue to engage Singaporeans, I would be able to still relate to them, still be able to represent them and help them fight for their interest. So I think with that, I would like to think that I'm a good candidate, and it's someone that Singapore can look forward to.
Okay, thanks. Dimple?
Yeah, thank you. For the past 15 years, I've been involved in grassroots activities and grassroots organizations. So I think I learned a lot. I'm trying my best to solve quite a fair bit of issue and help the residents. So with that, and I promise the voters I will continue with that, and I'll try my best to continue to serve them with the experience I have. Thanks.
Daniel?
Okay, personally, I'm not in disagreement with any policies in terms of its rationale and intent. But I think there could be areas by which we could improve in terms of its implementation. I think one of the role members of parliament will have to fulfill is actually being the voice to provide the necessary feedback to the policy makers so that these policies can be tweaked, can be improved to better meet the residents or better achieve its objective according to its rationale and intent. I notice, for example, when it comes to the policy of taking in foreign workers, in terms of the rationale and intent of the policy, it is sound. We really need the foreign workers in terms of providing the necessary manpower to move our economy forward. But of course, we do realize that on hindsight, there are certain things that we could actually improve on in terms of tightening the criteria of the foreign workers that we bring in. And I do notice that as we go by, as time goes by, we do make the necessary adjustment, the necessary tweak to improve on the implementation of this policy so that it would better meet the needs according the needs of our nation.
Thank you. Let me just conclude with a few remarks. Our slate of candidates will be quite diverse in background, but of course, it's only 20-odd candidates, so we will not be able to, say, completely cover the whole ground with new candidates. So what you should look at the slate of the PAP is the entire slate, those incumbents who are standing again, as well as the new candidates that we will fill. So is that, you should look at it in total, what is it that the PAP is offering to the people this time round. So it's not just about the new candidates alone, but it's also about the incumbents who are standing for re-election. There will be pressures and stresses in any aspect of for anybody standing taking a role in the public life. There would be stresses and strains. There will be criticisms. As someone who has been in politics for 30 years, sometimes it's my role to give advice to the younger ones how they should cope with stresses and strains. And he reminds me of what I used to tell people who work for the trade unions that whatever you do, there will be criticism, because you have to look at what is in the overall interests of the workers. And sometimes when you take that line, there will be certain segments of the workers who feel that they are adversely affected. But for the overall good of the workers, right, this is the right policy. So you have, first of all, foremost, to focus your mind on what is in the overall interests of the workers. So in this case, for people standing for election, what is in the overall best interest of the people? Always decide your stand, where you stand, on that basis. Then you get criticized. It is in the nature of human beings that people would say all kinds of things. It can hurt you, but you have to take it in your stride. So for those who join me in serving the trade union movement, I used to say, you should listen with one ear and let it come out the other ear. Don't take it to heart. That is the only way to retain your sanity. Now, we are all human beings, and we look forward to being appreciated for the good work that we do. But always remember that the good words are few and far in between. The criticisms you will hear will be almost on a daily basis. And I gave them this example. Forgive me, I'm a Catholic, so I quote from what I learned as a person growing up in a Catholic faith. There's this parable of the 10 lepers. So 10 lepers encountered Jesus Christ when he was going about his preaching, and they asked him to cure them. So he said, go and wash yourself in the river and show yourself to the priest. So they went about that and they were cured. One grateful leper then rushed back to find Jesus Christ and to thank him. And Jesus Christ then said, were not all 10 cured? Meaning, why is it only 1 out of the 10 came back to thank him? Now, I think if God receives thanks from only 10% of the people he helped, we mere mortals should not expect to have more. So, in other words, whatever you do from your conviction, because you believe it to be right, that this will improve the lives of people, but don't expect to be thanked. So on this note, thank you for coming. And when is the next one? The Party HQ will tell you. How fast the pace would be will depend, as I said the other day to some of the reporters. This will be based on tactical decisions. Thank you.